So let's go back to how do we prevent botulism? Okay, so we know what we need to do if botulism occurs. We've got to get to the hospital, but let's just not get botulism. That's the goal. So how do we prevent botulism? Well, there's a few different ways. Number one is just keeping foods cold, right? So if you can keep foods cold or frozen, then no botulism can grow. So below 3 degrees and frozen, though, that's the zone that botulism cannot grow. But also keep in mind that the temperature, the optimal temperature for botulism is actually 35 degrees Celsius. So smoking hot, that is the optimal temperature. So keeping foods in a cold environment will either prevent it from growing or it will grow very, very, very slowly. And that's important. I'll get to that in a minute. So the next thing, so one is keeping foods cold or frozen. Number two is kill the spores with high heat. Now the spore is a bit more challenging to kill because it requires a very high heat. And that's where we use our pressure cooker, and I'll be going through pressure cooking in our methods. Pressure cooker canners get the food to the optimal heat to be able to kill any spores. So then that food is guaranteed to not harbor any botulism and can then have an extensive shelf life and be able to endure high temperatures like 35 degrees Celsius and above. The next one, so keeping foods cold, killing the spore. Third is store with preservation additives like vinegar, salt, or sugar, or lacto fermentation. So there's a number of different things that you can do to add to your food to be able to give it that high acidity or the sugar to be able to stave off botulism. Another technique is dehydration. If it doesn't have any water to live in, then it can't grow. So if it's dehydrated, if the surface is completely dry, then no botulism. And then last but not least, and I think this is the most important aspect of this whole botulism risk that we're needing to manage when it comes to food preservation. And this is a point that is often overlooked, and I'm not too sure why, but the takeaway here is that the toxin is easy to destroy with heat. So the spore, which is actually, we can't be hurt by the spore, it is very challenging to kill with heat. But the toxin, the part that actually could hurt us and does cause the botulism food poisoning, that can be killed with fairly minimal heat. So the food needs to reach an internal temperature of 85 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes or longer. That's not even boiling. So 100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point, and 85 degrees Celsius is what you need to reach for 5 minutes. So if you have food that you are uncertain about, you just need to cook it. And you just need to boil it for like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, and you are guaranteed to not get food poisoning from that food. And I think that that's really, really important to take away here, that if you are in doubt, or if there's foods that are low acidic, like say like a pasta sauce, if you just cook it for 10 minutes, which is what we normally do with pasta sauce, you're going to kill any botulism. Botulism is only going to be found in foods that are not cooked. Okay, so if it's a food that is low acid, that doesn't have the sugar or the salt or the acidity, and it has been preserved incorrectly, and then you eat it cold, that's how you're going to get botulism. But if you were to just heat the food up, you boil it for 5 to 10 minutes, then you're not going to get botulism. So I really love that. I really love that that is a way to mitigate risk and really helps to like turn down the fear. We're turning down the fear on this one because I've met a lot of people who are absolutely terrified of canning because of the fear of botulism food poisoning. And it is a reasonable fear, but once we understand how botulism works, I think we can approach food preservation with greater confidence.